Hey, honey.
Yes, Barry?
Let's get out of here.
Where are we going?
Where do we always go?
Fascina el viento, este ritmo de palmas, sin ti naturaleza, hasta encontrar la playa. Por eso grito al mundo, yo soy de Puerto Vallarta. Samba de Puerto Vallarta, noche de arrullo en el mar. Samba de Puerto
Hello, fellow
Vallarta.
travelers, and welcome to this episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. I am your host, Barry Kessler, and I'm just so happy to be introducing you to my favorite place on the planet. And I sure would like to make it your favorite vacation destination, and that's Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Now, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Every episode, I look forward to doing this podcast just so I can listen to Alberto Perez sing the Samba de Puerto Vallarta. Really, I do. And Alberto is the owner of the La Palapa group of restaurants in Puerto Vallarta. And you'll find La Palapa, the Vista Grill, and the El Dorado restaurants on the south side of the Rio Quale, right on the beach, just south of the famous Los Muertos Pier. The one that looks like a sail, you know that one? Anyway, get on down to La Palapa and enjoy breakfast, lunch, or dinner, toes in the sand, right at the water's edge. It's so Puerto Vallarta, mis amigos. So come on down. The people of Puerto Vallarta await you, my friends. Now, today I have two really great guests to share with you, but first, let's look at what's happening in Puerto Vallarta this week, the 1st of May, 2017. The city is all abuzz with a downhill BMX bicycle exhibition. It's a bike race, guys and girls, and it's called Down Puerto Vallarta 2017. And what it is a downhill race. It's a slalom. They start at the cross, way up at the top of town, right above town in Puerto Vallarta. Up on the mountain, there's a cross, and you can actually hike up there, and it's a steep hike, and there's stairs, and one of these days I'll take you up there. We'll do that in one of the episodes of the shows. But anyway, a great view from up at the cross. And these bike riders, they start right there, and then they go down these stairs on these bicycles, these BMX-style bicycles, and then they're going down the stairs, and then they go down these cobblestone streets of Puerto Vallarta, and they've built banks into the streets with sand and wood and all that stuff, and they've built ramps and jumps and all kinds of thrills for all the hundreds of spectators that basically were watching all along the route. They had the trial run on Saturday, and then on Sunday, today they had the big race. And so it went all the way down, and like I said, there were hundreds of spectators looking along the, watching as it went by. And the race ended right on the Malecon, right at the sculptures of the Rotunda del Mar. And anyway, it was pretty cool. It's really just another sign that Puerto Vallarta is on the map, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to international events. And, well, it was 2 days of competition, lots of preparation and building the ramps and banks and then marking the path. And then there were street closures and all that stuff. But it was great fun. It was great for Puerto Vallarta. All kinds of links on my website. You can find them there. I have some YouTube videos as well of the event, and even a little Facebook page for Down Puerto Vallarta. And you can find that all at my website at PuertoVallartaTravelShow.com. Check it out, and you'll really like it. It's very, very cool. Now, Restaurant Week is coming. It's going to be May 15th to the 31st of May. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking restaurant week is 2 weeks. And yes, it is. So there. I'm not going to try to change the name of it. It's just how it is. Anyway, it's a great time, if you're in town, for you to sample the menus from some of the best restaurants in Puerto Vallarta for a very reasonable price. Now, I'm going to be joining Gary Beck and Gary's Groupies, they're called. I'm going to be there on the 15th with them over at Barcelona Tapas. And I'm really looking forward to talking with all the groupies and Gary, of course, and Bill Carvalho, the owner of Barcelona Tapas. Hopefully he'll be there too. I'll bring my mic and we'll see if we can maybe get a little bit of audio from that particular event. So stay tuned for that. Now, finally, I also plan on announcing the date and location of the open microphone meetup this coming Friday, May the 12th, or Saturday, May the 13th. I haven't decided yet. It's going to be one of those 2 days, and it'll be an afternoon. But stay tuned for that announcement. I'm going to make it on next Sunday's show. So if you can make it, if you're going to be in town and you want to tell us what's happening, what you're doing in Puerto Vallarta, or just tell me what it is that's so great about what you do in Puerto Vallarta, stay tuned for that. We're going to have an open mic, and you can tell our listeners all about it. And speaking about next Sunday's show, originally I had promised you that we were going to talk about Raicilla with JR, and then we were going to have an interview with Edwin Garcia of Una Familia. Now, I need to get some photos, and I need a couple of other items before I can air that show. So that show was supposed to air today. It's going to wait until late Sunday evening on the 7th of May. That's going to be the same show when I make the announcement about the meetup. So we had just a little bit of a mix-up. But this week, I have two people that you're really going to like. And they are Tami and Brad Salzwedel. They're from Sauk City, Wisconsin. Brad sent me an email, and he said that he had experiences, and he had some stories that he wanted to share with all of you. And so anyway, he and Tami, they've been coming to Puerto Vallarta for the last 24 years. And I brought them on because they have a wide range of experiences. And I think that we can all learn a lot from this couple. So let's go to Sauk City, Wisconsin, and talk with Tami and Brad. And today I am with Brad and Tami Salzwedel, and they are coming to us from beautiful, well, let's see here. You're coming from Sauk City, Wisconsin. All right.
That's right.
All right. Well, welcome, you guys.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
So, as I was telling you guys earlier, Brad and Tami, they were kind enough to send me a note and said, I've got some great information for you to share with your listeners, and they've got some great stuff. In fact, you guys sent me some videos that are just blowing my mind, too. Brad, there's a video here of you eating crickets, man.
Yeah, they're good for you.
All right, we'll get to that in a little bit here. Okay. All right. So tell us a little bit about tell us about where you're from and when you first came to Puerto Vallarta. Tell us about that.
Okay, we're from Montello, Wisconsin. It's a small town in south central Wisconsin. And we both went to the same high school in Montello and ended up getting married. And about 1993 was our first trip down to Puerto Vallarta.
Okay, so 93. So you guys are long timers. You've been going down there for like 25 years almost.
Right, almost every year.
Oh, wow. All right, cool.
We made it twice one year.
Yeah.
All right.
We did a fall trip. I think August or something instead of in.
Right.
So what did you think of August?
Oh, it was interesting. Hot, of course, a lot of rain, and but a nice late afternoon cooling rain, and everything would get cleaned off, and it was green, and the the flowers were even more beautiful than in the wintertime, if you can imagine that.
Yeah.
So it was interesting.
The rain helps, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So,
Really
yeah,
hot during the day.
it would be pretty hard if it didn't have that rainstorm at 4:00 in the afternoon. But a lot of people think that because you talk about rain, that it rains all day and all night there. It doesn't. I'm sure you're aware, but for the listeners, it's. I don't know if it ever started raining before 4:00.
No, it was sunny.
You got a full day to have a good time,
Yeah.
And then when that rain comes, you don't have to run from oxo to oxo for the air conditioning to cool off because it gets mighty hot at 2:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah, we had ice water soaked cloths around our necks and things if we wanted to be out during the day.
Yeah, I've been there in October and it's been hot, and so I'm sure that August is very similar. So when you first started coming to Puerto Vallarta, tell us about where you stayed when you first started coming.
Well, in the beginning, we were traveling with originally our 6-year-old son. And so we wanted to stay where they had lots of activities for him. So we'd stay at all inclusives that had kids clubs where they had people that were dedicated to watching the kids and keeping them busy, keeping them having fun all day. And there were lots of activities for us as well. Good entertainment, high security there with the wristbands, so that nobody could come in. They would always check to make sure that you matched up with your child before they let you leave with the child, even. So it was good security for having a child. And even the entertainers there, we'd get to know them. They were good people and people that took care of the kids. And they would even hire out as babysitters in the evening sometimes so that we could go out.
Oh, that's very handy. Wow. So now that was an all-inclusive deal, right?
Yes, it was.
And at that time we were younger, so we liked to go out in the evening and hit the hot spots. Sure,
yeah, of course. So you felt comfortable leaving your kid with a sitter there, yeah?
Well, we always, if I remember right, we always would know one of the people that were there. Like Tami said, it would be one of the entertainers or one of the workers there that worked during the day, or a couple, they'd switch off or something. And we'd hire them or talk to them and get to know them, and we'd find out, how long they've been there and know that they're safe in the resort. Would tell you whether or not they are or not.
Yeah, good. All right. So that's a huge bonus. Okay, so that's a thing to remember, you guys. If you are traveling with children and you want to be able to get out and get on the town, you can more than likely at an all-inclusive find a place where they will watch your kid while you're out on the town.
We never once had a problem getting a reliable babysitter at an all-inclusive.
No, that's great. So these were tell me about, is that all-inclusive still around? That was 25 years ago, right? So is that around still?
Well, that was called the Holiday SunSpree. We stayed there the first 2 years, and that went out of business. I think it changed names a couple times, and then it went out of business. It's about 4 miles south of town.
Okay.
Off
of 200 there.
Yeah, right off of 200. And then for the following 4 years after that, we stayed at Melia in the Marina area. It's a larger resort. Pretty nice. It's a nice, clean resort.
I've heard nice things about it, yeah.
Yeah, and that's got a ton of things for kids to do. For me to go over, it would kind of be, it'd be better for people to go online and just check out the Melia Resort there, and it's got a list of probably 15, 20 things for kids to do.
Okay.
And it's of all ages too. They'll have ages for, I think they start as low as 4 months old.
Oh my gosh.
And no other resort does that. They'll take the youngest kids there.
Interesting.
And then they'll have different groups. So the kid clubs will be age brackets. So a 12-year-old kid doesn't have to hang around with a 5-year-old kid.
Right.
So and they do things accordingly to age brackets.
Uh-huh. Okay, so then that's at Melia, and that's at the marina or near the marina.
Right. Right, and they're still doing it. They're hot and heavy there yet, doing the same exact thing.
Okay.
And they're and during the day the kids are so busy they're having fun. They don't want to see their parents. So you can, as parents, we don't leave we never left the resort during the day. We were always there, but there was enough stuff to do at the resort to have a good time and then meet up with other people that we ended up ultimately going out at night and partying with.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well, that's
anyone who's ever traveled with children knows that if the kids are having fun, then the parents will have more fun. The vacation will just go better.
Yeah, definitely. So, all right, now when you would make arrangements to go there, how did you book? Did you go online and book? Did you contact the hotel directly? What do you do?
I used to call up the hotels and book directly. I think we did use a travel agent a couple times. Well, you're going back a long ways now,
I know,
Barry.
Right? Yeah. We are
hard to remember.
All right.
Hard to remember exactly, but I would call. Yeah, we used Apple one year because I would check out the prices. Sometimes Apple would include the resort or not. And in those days, we didn't know much about Puerto Vallarta. This was all new to us, so we didn't know anything other than we're going to the resort.
All right, so let's talk about that. When did you finally figure you're going to break free of the resort and do something different than the all-inclusive?
Well, when our son got old enough that he didn't need a kids club anymore.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense.
That started changing, and then we started. We always like to stay on the ocean so we can hear the waves at night, or when we can wake up in the morning and look at the waves. So that was important, and
high enough up with a balcony for a good ocean view.
Yeah,
close to town is nice with, so we can roam around and with a refrigerator. That's an important thing for us now too, to be able to have drinks and snacks and be able to make a sandwich when we want to.
Right. So maybe place with a kitchenette or something is always nice, isn't it?
Yeah. So priorities changed a little bit.
Right. Yeah. Kitchenettes weren't all that much important. They are really nice, but at least a refrigerator.
Yeah.
So you could have the cold drinks, or you could have a cold drink on your patio overlooking the ocean which isn't that long that you sit there, but it's part of your vacation. You sit and overlook the water and have a drink, and if somebody comes over to your place and you make friends, ultimately you'll make friends there, and people stop over and you give them a drink. If you don't have a fridge, we've done this several times. We've bought 2 styrofoam coolers and fill them, put ice in them, and one of them we put sandwich meat and some cheese and stuff, and the other one we'd put drinks in and split a bag of ice, and that would be our refrigerator for the week or two.
Yeah. So what places were you staying in where you needed that? I mean, tell me about where you stayed.
Well,
Tropicana was one of those right near the pier.
Uh-huh.
Because that was just a hotel room, so we needed to provide our own refrigeration.
Yeah.
Well, there we stayed on the 9th floor there. We really liked that. You could see everywhere.
Nice view, yeah.
Yeah.
So the rooms at the Tropicana, what would you say? Those are kind of, is it a standard, is it a Mexican-style hotel? Is it American-style hotel? What would you say?
It's a mixture. And they've got the Hall Tower. I don't know what they call that. Do you, Tami?
No, I don't.
They've got the one spot is a little taller that faces right straight out to the ocean, and that's just regular studio rooms with balcony, but that's what we'd usually stay in. But then they have some that face kind of sideways on an angle towards the ocean, and those are, I believe, a little bit newer or updated rooms.
Yeah,
and those a lot of people like those. I can't tell you much about them because I was never in them.
Okay. Well, then we won't talk about them. So there. All right. So, all right. Now, where have you've stayed more than once, obviously, at the Melia, and it sounds like you've stayed more than once at the Tropicana. Any other places that you've stayed more than once that you liked?
Suites Nadia. That's probably about 2 blocks north of the Melicon. I think they've only got like 11 rooms in the place. It's a real nice place. I'm guessing 10 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got a hot tub and a really cold swimming pool. It's just big enough, big enough to jump in to cool off on a hot day.
Isn't it funny though that you're in the tropics and these swimming pools can be ice cold and you're going, wow, how does that happen?
Yeah.
Well, I don't think they use any chlorine in them, so they're just running cold water through them to keep them fresh.
Cold. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, there's a quieter beach down there, and Lay's Supermarket is just a block away, so you can fill up your cooler with stuff.
I love Lay's. Nice. I love Lay's Supermarket. Yeah, it's Ley is how it's spelled, and it's easy. Everybody says Lay's. It's not. It's Ley. And it's a Mexican supermarket. It's not a little store, boy, it was hard to get me out of there because I'd go and look at all the different products because it was all Mexican products.
I know it's amazing when you set yourself loose in a place like that. You start, you can't get out. You just start. Oh, look at this! Check this out.
Yeah.
Oh, look how they do it. Look how they do it here. It's pretty neat.
And you have to learn Spanish a little bit to go through there, and that's kind of how every year I've never taken Spanish lessons, but when we leave here, I don't know any Spanish. Every year I always forget it all, but by the time I come home, I'm speaking pretty good Spanish.
Yeah.
I can get around Ley's Supermarket okay.
That's right. Well, you can fill your basket at Ley. Without having to speak too much Spanish. Except for, what is this?
Here's a little clue. I don't know how many people are familiar, but the baggers at supermarkets, the only way they get paid is with tips. They don't get a wage.
Yeah.
So if you go into one of these markets and there's somebody that's standing there bagging your food, give them the loose change, at least, that you have, because that's how they make their money.
It's a great tip. And tip the baggers. That's a great tip.
Yeah.
All right. So now, again, what was the name of that place? Now it's at the north end of the Malecon. Is that where this place is? And it's called what?
Suites Nadia.
Suites Nadia.
Yeah, it's there's actually a video on YouTube for that. If people want to search Suites Nadia,
believe me,
Puerto Vallarta.
I'll hook it up if they go to my website and check out the show notes for this episode. You will find all the links to everything that we're going to be talking about here today, you guys. So know where to find it.
That's a nice place. It's a real nice place.
Neat.
In fact, I sent my cousin was looking for a place to go last year, a year before this last winter, and I sent her there. It's right in the 5th of December area, which gets a little bit more Mexican-y instead of being touristy.
Mm-hmm.
And like Tami said, the beach is real quiet there, and it's a flat sand beach. It's not a long rocky beach.
Yeah. It's a nice beach. Let's see what's down there. There's the Barracuda is down there.
Right.
Captain Don's.
Captain Don's is right there.
Yeah.
And it sounds to me like you're real familiar with that area.
Yeah.
Those are great places to hang out. Yeah, that whole, actually, that north end of the Malecon is pretty cool. There's some great stuff going on down there. And it's more Mexican. It's, as you go farther north, and then as you go beyond that and you start walking through that neighborhood, then, and lots of restaurants there too. And,
absolutely.
Good finds there.
Yeah. In fact, one of the restaurants is right around the corner, and probably 2 blocks north and 1 block east is Cesar's. And we used to eat breakfast there a lot when we stayed at Nadia.
Mm-hmm.
And they had
The xylophone
players, two players that would play for every breakfast.
Okay.
So we'd go there and watch them play.
Were they good?
Oh gosh, yeah. I sent a video to you.
Okay. Then I'll hook that up. That'll be on you guys can all hear the xylophone players. Sometimes they're not. Okay. Sometimes you're eating and it's like, dude. I feel like Daffy Duck, that one where they're, hey, you're hitting the wrong key. You're hitting the wrong key. I want to get up there and do it, All right, never mind. It's just one of my bugaboos.
We've stayed at Emperador Suites also. That's a little more. That's right by the pier. That's only 2 doors south of the pier.
All right, now that's kind of a Mexican hotel, right?
Yeah, a mixture again.
Mexican style. How'd you like that? How'd you like that?
Real laid back, real nice. It's a nice place, and that's right above.
Si, Senor on the beach.
Ah, cool. Yeah, that's a great
spot. We like enough for going back there again this year.
Oh, good. All right, that's a great spot, you guys. All right, so interesting. All right, so you definitely have stayed in quite a variety of places. You've been all over the Bay, it sounds like to me.
Well, we like to mix it up because we don't sit still. We're not the kind of people that sit on the beach and drink Mai Tais all day. If we travel to a different area, Yelapa or Bucerias or Mismaloya or Yelapa or Sayulita or San Pancho, then we'll grab a cooler from an Oxo and sit on the beach with friends and that'll be about the only time we'll sit on the beach. Otherwise, when we're in Puerto Vallarta, we're running around town or doing short tours.
Mm-hmm. Right, and then just ducking into a drinkery and sitting down and grabbing something to cool off.
Right.
So right now, you say that you're scuba divers. Are you scuba divers?
Well, Tami snorkels and I dive.
Ah, okay, all right. So I've never gone diving in Puerto Vallarta, so I'm glad to have you here today. We'll talk a little bit about that. Where have you gone diving?
Well, I dove down a couple times by Los Arcos, south of town, mm-hmm. and that's a real nice area. And also at the Marietta Islands, that's where a lot of the tours go to for snorkeling and for whale watching trips.
Yeah. So now I've snorkeled around Los Arcos, and obviously it sounds like Tami has snorkeled around Los Arcos too. And then, but you've gone, right. You've scuba, you went down and went further deeper and stuff. But what's that like over there?
Well, it's pretty interesting because the Los Arcos area is a preserve. Uh-huh. So what that means is there's no fishing or spear fishing or netting. So the fish get a little larger. There's lobsters. There's a lot of things to see there when you're scuba diving. Uh-huh. And there's little. I've seen some critters walking on the ocean floor that I didn't know what they were there, and these huge eels, moray eels. They'll have their rear end stuck like in a hole, and they're probably about 4 to 5 feet long, maybe not 4 feet, and they sit there and their mouths wide open and I kind of play with them. I sneak up behind them and pet them on the back of the head. And I didn't realize that was kind of dangerous when I did it. But
no. Playing with moray eels. Okay, everybody, look out, you guys. Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
You didn't.
Uh-huh.
What did you think it was, Disneyland, or what's going on down there, or what?
I guess I liked Los Arcos. It's not far from town, so you're not spending 4 hours getting somewhere and then getting tired and come back. It's not far away. We actually went there. It was the first time I went there. It was from I think it was the first or second year we went to Puerto Vallarta, and it was part of the resorts. You got a free snorkel and free diving, and so it was, since that was down south where we were staying, 4 miles south, that was on the way to Los Arcos. So they had a private vehicle for us. It took us down to Mismaloya, and there's just a little regular boat there. So there was a guy with a palapa, and he took us out, and I was with another guy from Chicago that we met at the resort, and we just dove under the arches.
Under the arches.
Yeah, wow. It's the arch. Those are real neat rocks. They're old volcanic rocks from years ago. Wow. Millions of years ago, I imagine. and I've actually swam through it. I swam through a tube there, where when a wave or ocean surge would come through, it would kind of shoot you around, and you'd follow the tube, and it'd shoot you out the other side.
Wow!
And that was real fun.
Yeah. Oh, that's exciting. So you had Mother Nature was giving you a ride, and weren't you afraid that you were going to crash in the side of this tube? What's the deal with that? That'd scare the heck out of me, man.
I didn't do it the second time.
Okay. All right. Good. That's okay. So eels and lava tubes. Right on. Go Brad. Go Brad. Okay, everybody. Yeah. And now you know who you're talking to here. This is an adventurer.
Yeah.
All right.
And then let's see, Marietta's the snorkeling in there. Tami, you snorkeled.
Yes.
And I dove, and the diving is pretty interesting there. There I actually did a cave. I'm not exactly sure of the depth that we entered into the cave, but it was a small little hole when we went in, and it didn't get any bigger for quite a ways. I was getting a little paranoid because I was following a diver that was inexperienced. Now, the top of my tanks were hitting the rocks, and my belly was scratching the bottom.
Oh my God. That scared the heck out of me.
And I was using Mexican equipment without flashlights or without a knife or anything. So, and I couldn't turn around, so I couldn't get out of there. So I had to think in my mind, don't panic, and hope the guy ahead of me don't panic, because he'd drown me. And finally, it opened up into a real big cavern in there. And the dive master that was leading us, he had a light, and he shined it around. And it was just beautiful in there with all sorts of creatures. And then we left out a different direction, and it opened up. It wasn't a small tube going out. It was real large, and it was real beautiful coming out of there, because you could see the sun shining through the different layers of fish. The different types of fish are at different depths, and you could see all that from looking at, let's say, 85 feet down and looking up. You can see the different layers.
Wow!
And it was a real neat experience. One time there, I was diving, and I was just looking at the ocean floor. It's kind of white, and the sun stopped, and there's no reason for the sun to stop above you unless there's a boat. Well, here was a giant manta ray, and I looked up at him, and he had to be 17 foot wide, at least. Whoa! And did
that scare you?
Well, I was hoping I'd see one, so no, it didn't scare me. I was just glad it wasn't a hammerhead shark.
Yeah, okay.
Because they're not too far from out there to another island. You got to go quite a ways away, but they are around. Uh-huh. So I had always heard that you could swim with those giant manta rays. So I tried to catch up to the front of them, and they have. If you've ever looked at a picture of one or seen one, they have a crop of hair like that comes out the back of the top of their head. And if you could get in front of them and meet their eyes, they'll stop hovering in the water, stop moving, and you can get behind their head and hold on to that crop of hair. Then they'll go forward, and you can kind of take a ride from them. So I tried to catch them and get up in front of them, and it was too fast for me. Even though they're moving so slow with their wings, they're real majestic. He still went right past me. I was just nothing to him.
Didn't want to have anything to do with you. Brad. I don't know about you, brother. I mean, here you are, grabbing on moray eels, and no, come on, stop that. Are you okay? Do you let him do that, Tami? Really? Do you let him do that?
Well, I'm up on the surface, so I don't have much control when he's down there.
Gosh, all right. Mm-hmm. Very brave. All right, never mind. Let's move on, shall we? All right. No, now look, these. Can you recommend any of these dive companies, or has it been too long ago? Or
well, the first one was with the resort, so that wasn't the company. That was just going down to Mesmaloya and taking a boat out from there, which anybody can do. And I stink too, but I think they still can. They can. You can still do that. Just go right to Mesmaloya and hire one of the boats on shore. I'm pretty sure there's a company there that will take you out diving. Okay. I'm not positive though on that.
All right.
And then I went out with. And the other time was a Vallarta Adventures snorkeling, diving, whale watching tour. But it was a PADI certified master diver or dive master on boat. Mm-hmm. So I can't really recommend a company.
Okay. All right. All right. So anyway, but I think that those are both really good dives. Those are both interesting places to go. If you do like to dive, you would recommend those, right, Brad?
Absolutely. I guess if I was to go down and dive and plan it, I would. I wouldn't be worried about going down to Mesmaloya and checking that out again. And you can check your water clarity before you go, because the water clarity changes there. And a lot of people say, well, the diving's not as good in Puerto Vallarta. Do it in the Caribbean. Mm-hmm. Well, I've been in out south diving of Puerto Vallarta where the water you can see 60 feet, and then some days you could see 6 feet. Right. So you got to check on your clarity. And
is there a way you can do that ahead of time?
I believe there. I haven't looked it up lately, but I did find one time a place where you can check online for the clarity of the water and daily clarity.
Right.
And probably check with a dive shop now to check on the clarity. And the same thing with fishing. There is a fishing site to see how the fish are biting, what's biting, and so forth.
Okay, cool. All right, so let's see what else we got here. You told me that you used to arrange tours, and then have people come along and stuff like that. Now, I'm just wondering, what's the deal with that? I mean, is it because you're cheap, or is it because they just didn't have the tours, or I mean, what's the deal?
Cheap.
Cheap wins.
No. Actually, we found that. And interrupt me, Tami, if you find anything. We found that we weren't really into jumping on a bus with a lot of tourists and being herded around. We found out that there was so much to do, actually fairly close to Puerto Vallarta, that you can make your own tours. For instance, going to the zoo, make that a tour. You could take the bus or a taxi down to Mesmaloya and walk your way to the zoo instead of having a taxi drop you off. And on the way there, there's all sorts of just walking through the town of Mesmaloya is fun.
Yep.
And there's a little tequila place to taste a little tequila. And seeing the zoo, it's not a tour, but it's something to mention. It's like no other zoo that you'll ever see, especially in the United States. You can handle cats, and which I did, and
right. Feed the animals.
Yeah, you can feed all the animals. Yeah. It seems like it's a very interesting place. Tours. Let's see. Pidial is something that a lot of people don't know about. Pidial is a Mexican town east. It's actually connected to Puerto Vallarta, but and a lot of the Mexicans that work there live in Pidial. It's a Mexican town, fairly large. It's got its what do you call that, Tami? The square in the middle of the town.
It's got the Zócalo, like the town square.
The town square, right. It's got a town square. You walk around the town square, and now there's a Mexican city that's only a taxi ride away. It don't cost you any money, and you don't have to be with a tour with somebody saying things with you. Just walk around and do your own tour there, and everything's Mexican there.
Uh-huh. And you can eat crickets there, because there's a video on my website of Brad eating crickets in Pitial. So there. Any good places to eat in Pitial?
Well, the crickets.
Other than the crickets, man.
I don't know. Did we? We did eat, but that's just several years back. I don't remember. We had to eat, but I don't remember, dude.
Yeah, I don't remember the name of the restaurant. We had some tacos there. We were mostly there to sightsee, and
you
can get shopping. You can get watches and belts and leather goods pretty inexpensively there too.
Well, everything there's Mexican prices for the Mexicans. So you start if you're shopping downtown Puerto Vallarta, you're paying tourist prices. So there's a little difference there. We're not shoppers, but if you're looking for something, that would be the place to buy something. And it's an experience.
And it's easy to get to, you guys. All you have to do is find the bus that says Pitial right on the windshield. It'll take you there. So,
That's right.
If you want to do the bus. Tami and I think everybody should do the bus once, maybe more times if they like it a lot. But we don't feel that we're there long enough to bus everywhere. We jump on a taxi just about everywhere we go. Because we jump on it, they know where they're going. There's no waiting. You're there.
It's a preference.
And it's cheap enough, you guys. I mean, So, no reason to nickel and dime when you're on vacation. So,
well, that's it.
Good point, right?
But again, if you're going somewhere all the time, every day, like to Mesmaloya, it's easy to jump on the bus and get to Mesmaloya. They don't do any stops really to speak of on the way down there. If you take a bus to Bucerias, which is 7 miles north of Puerto Vallarta, they do several stops, so that would take you longer. We usually, when you're talking about doing tours, we'll hire people off the beach or people that Mexicans that are locals, and just say, hey, we're looking for a driver for the day. Or we'll ask the resort. There's usually a guy standing out in front of the resort. Hey, can you hook me up with somebody to drive us around? And my brother-in-law, he's a good driver, and we'll pay him for the day.
There you go.
They'll take us somewhere.
So you throw your cares to the wind and you say, dude, you got a car? Let's go, right?
We have done that many times.
Cuánto cuesta?
See.
All right. Very cool. All right. So now you arrange these and you bring along people that you meet or people that you're with, right?
Yeah. I can't think of a year that we didn't end up with really great friends when the vacation was over with. We always meet up with people. And like the very first year we were there was a group of 10 of us that somehow hooked up together and we did everything together. And for some odd reason, the 10 of us hooked together, and we were from all over the North America.
Yeah.
Nobody from the same city, and as far as other tours, taking a boat out of Boca de Tamas.
Boca de Tamatlan.
Boca de.
Okay, yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
And taking that down to Yalapa.
Yeah.
That's a tour, and you can walk the streets of Yalapa or sit on the beach there and have a piece of pie from the pie lady. Everybody talks about the pie lady. Well, you got to have a piece of pie there.
Okay.
And walk the streets. There's Vallarta Info or Puerto Vallarta Info.com. That's JR's website.
Yeah.
He's got maps on there, and I believe he's got a map on there for Yalapa. So, and because you can get lost in Yalapa real easy. It's a small area, but it's the streets aren't straight, so you never know where you're at. And then there's a waterfalls back up in the mountains there, and it's much easier if you have the map. We like to print those before we leave home and put them in our little pamphlet.
Yes, I tell everybody to do that. I tell everybody to go to JR's website at vallartainfo.com and print out all of his maps, and you won't go wrong because those are great maps. They're really good to have.
Yeah. Right, and they have parasailers there that will take you parasailing in Yelapa. Right, and in fact, I think there's a video that I've got of the parasailers coming down.
I saw that too. Okay, but we'll hook you up there too. That'll be on the site. Nice. Yeah. So, what other kind of tours have you arranged?
Well, we took
Sayulita.
Sayulita is a it's a dive town.
It's a hippie town. It's a hippie town. Come on.
Yeah. And but what I mean by dive is for diver or surfers.
Surfers, right?
Surfers. Yeah, I said dive, didn't I?
Yeah,
but for surfers, it's probably the best surfing within reach for a nice day trip. You can surf north of there also at San Pancho, but Sayulita, it's gotten a little more busier than it used to be. 10 years ago, it was still way laid back, but now it's a little more busy. But the surfing's still just as good, and there's a fruit stand on the beach, and you got a nice beach to sit there, and it's a place to walk around. It's fairly interesting. That's a self-tour. Again, that you can take a bus. Mm-hmm. The bus that leaves from the Walmart and going north because going to Sayulita, it takes 200 and it cuts across the point from the bay. It doesn't do as many stops. In fact, it doesn't do any stops once it leaves the ocean road, and it's only probably a 40-minute trip from there. So that's a real cheap self tour.
Yeah, and you catch that right at Walmart.
Right. Which and it's a nice bus. It's not a school bus. They got nice seats. It's a Greyhound type bus.
They set you up. Right, there's somebody with a clipboard, and they make sure, and they get you all on board and all that other stuff when they get you all set up there. Neat. Yeah.
And you don't have to call ahead. You just go there and wait till the bus comes through. I think every 20 minutes a bus comes through that goes there.
Nice.
And then we've gone. One thing we should mention, Tami, butt in here anytime you want. But Boca de Tomates.
Tomatlan, right? You're talking about Boca de Tomates? No. Oh, no, you're talking about Tomates up north.
Tomates, right. Yeah, that's a couple miles north of PV. Mm-hmm. And we haven't been there for a few years, so I don't know if it's still a dirt road getting back into it or not, but it used to be. And years ago, and I know they're out of business, but they had a hovercraft tour back in there. And we took the hovercraft up the river Ameka or Mecca.
The Mecca River. River.
Yeah. And that was another self-tour that we did. We just took a taxi there and got onto the hovercraft, and that took us up the river, and there was a lot of crocodiles, large ones there.
Whoa.
Yeah, and it was fun, really fun, and the hovercraft, it's too bad they went out of business.
Well, they're probably afraid to, drop off one too many tourists along with the crocodiles or something.
Yeah. Well, yeah, then they had the big round fish nets, and they taught you how to fish with the nets and how to throw them, and it taught us a history of the area, the different types of Indians that lived in the area, and the mangroves are the mangroves are beautiful in that area.
So they probably still have some kinds of tours going in there, but probably not the hovercraft. Hovercraft is long gone.
Yeah, and I don't know if they have a tour or not. But it's not that hard for somebody to grab a taxi and go there.
I think that's that crocodile preserve now that we were talking with Stephen Tenney about not too long ago. He was talking about that.
I'm unaware of that.
Yeah, I'll bet that. I'll bet you they rounded him up and threw him over there. All right, we'll find out. We'll figure that out.
Well, maybe we were back there. That was quite a few years ago that we were in there, and so maybe it has turned into something. I guess we were there when it was still
before they tamed it, right?
Before they tamed it a little bit, yeah. And we did take hired a tour guide to take us to San Sebastian. And that was a good one to hire a guide.
So you hired a private car.
It was from a guide company, a tour company, but it was a small tour company, and I don't even remember the name of it, so I can't tell anybody. But that's a nice tour. There's probably a half a dozen places to stop on the way to San Sebastian. There's a cemetery, and this guy gave us a history of how the Mexicans love their cemeteries, and once a year, they go on it, and they have a party at their grave site, and then there's a little coffee plantation on the way up there, and a tequila factory, a real tequila factory, and then they crossed the bridge. Now they built a new highway going up there, and it goes over the big, huge valley that you used to be in the bottom of to get there. Because going to San Sebastian used to be, I don't know, it was 5 to 7 hours getting there, and now they built a new road, and it's only a couple hours getting there. It's something for somebody to see. It's a 4 to 5
nice day trip, right?
Yeah, and it's a 400-year-old city, so you go. There's history galore there.
Yeah, wow. So yeah, I've and they've got a great restaurant there. I understand they've got a terrific Italian restaurant up there. Did you get a chance to hit that place?
Yeah, we stopped at it, and I can't remember. It starts with an M.
I'll link it up. I know it too. It's at the tip of my tongue, and I can't remember it either.
Yeah, I got a little story about that because I talked to the owners, and they've been there, I don't know, 30 years or better, and the man was working on a ship. I don't know what kind of ship.
Yeah, he was on a
from
cruise
Italy.
Ship. Yeah,
but he was a worker, and he met this girl in Puerto Vallarta, and I don't know if she was Indian or Mexican, but she was a native, and they fell in love, and he didn't leave, and they went up to San Sebastian, and I don't, maybe that was where her hometown was or what, but they started this Italian restaurant. And you're going to put something on your site on that.
Yeah.
It's a place to stop. It's real pretty. It's got good food, and it's.
I'll put the hours. I'm trying to remember, and I think they're closed Mondays and Tuesdays. So if any of you guys want to go drive up there or take a 2-hour drive up there, you might want to check and make sure of the hours. I'll post them so that we make sure and I'll even kind of remember the name, which will be even better.
Yeah. So I used to set up cantina crawls. I think I set them up 4 years in a row on TripAdvisor, where we would we would name the date and the time and where we're going to meet, and we'd get around 30 people to show up, and we'd get JR. He would lead us to the cantinas, and then I'd bring up the rear end so we wouldn't lose anybody on the way. And these are cantinas. They're not the bars on the Malecon. These are cantinas where the Mexicans go, and where sometimes the bathroom facilities aren't exactly what you're expecting, and that's the fun part of going to the cantinas. You're living the real Mexican life there.
Oh, that sounds like fun. So you put out the call, right? You go, hey, who wants to go on a pub crawl or a cantina crawl, obviously, and then you'd have takers, and off you'd go.
Right. We'd all meet up at a certain time, which would be I'd announce that on TripAdvisor, and several months ahead, so people can put that on their daily planner, and then meet at 7:30 or so at one of the places, and then we would stay about an hour at each one, and we'd probably hit 5 to 6 cantinas, all within a 2 to 3 block area, and in Puerto Vallarta.
Well, that's a good tip. That's a lot of fun. That takes up a good part of your day, but it gives you an opportunity to see what you normally wouldn't see. So All right, let's talk about, since we're on the restaurant tour here, let's talk about the Ocean Grill. You told me that you've been there. Tell me about that. Tell my listeners about the experience.
Yes, that's a must-see. You what they should know is that you do need a reservation. I'd look at that at the beginning of your trip and find a day that you want to go out there. Call ahead. They pick you up with their own boat at Boca de Tamatlan. Thank you. And the boat's included in the experience. You don't pay separately for that.
So that's another self tour. Actually, it's a free tour to their restaurant because it goes out of their bay down there, and it goes around the point and then comes back into their beach area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a nice little boat ride, and they drop you off at their pier. Or if you don't like climbing out onto the pier, there's a beach nearby that you can get out there, and there's kind of a wooden walkway between the beach and the restaurant that's very scenic. All of it's very scenic there.
Yeah, it's a beautiful little bay.
Yeah, great food, good people, and one of the fun little side attractions there is the bathroom that you walk up the hillside a ways, and it's an open air bathroom. Kind of the sides are waist high, but there are no walls or ceilings. Okay. You just kind of enjoy the view from there.
Wow. All right. So, do people line up to get into this bathroom? I mean,
Well, they let you kind of one at a time.
You could look from where you're eating and look up the side of the hill and see if there's anybody in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think there's actually a little gate halfway up that tells people if there's someone up there or not.
Occupado or not occupado. Okay. Yeah.
Right.
All right. That's pretty cool. That reminds me of a really cool bathroom, and that is at the Botanical Garden. When you go to the men's room there, and you're standing at the urinal, it is a beautiful view. That's all I can tell you. If you're going to be going to the Botanical Garden, you guys, check it out. Brad, take Tammy in there, give her a tour.
All right.
All right, when you get down there next time.
Yeah. People are wondering about tours. We're still on tours, I guess. But TripAdvisor has meet and greets. And those are something to hit. Those are fun.
Yeah.
It's not that they're not a meeting. Nobody sits and has a meeting. People just get together and have some drinks, and you end up meeting friends, and then you never know, the next day you might doing something together.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's what Puerto Vallarta is about, you guys. You'll all find when you go down there, you'll make friends. You'll make American friends. You'll make Mexican friends. It's amazing.
We've got several Mexican friends. One Mexican friend, his name is Daniel. We met him. Well, we've known him. We've seen him the last 16 years in a row. We might know him a little bit longer than that. But one time he took us back to his house to have dinner, and it was very interesting because he had his mother do the cooking. And she'd come in and she made tostados, the authentic tostados. And we ate tostados and talked. And one of his little brothers was there playing video games, little brother then, grown man now. And his mother didn't speak any English, hardly any English. But she loved the Beatles, and she knew all the English words to the Beatles. So we sang Beatles songs with her to incorporate her with the party. It was really fun. It was a great night.
Oh wow, that's international language is music. Absolutely. Wow. Okay, so Ocean Grill. You also were talking about Los Carmelitas.
Right. Yeah, that is one of our favorites too, and half the fun is getting there. It's
another tour, a self tour, and that's just buying a taxi ride. That's not it's not, you can't walk it. It's a taxi ride up the mountain, and it's up the mountain, but it's not scary. So don't get anybody get scared.
Right.
there's not cliffs that you're going to be looking over, but although you're on an angle where if you look out the side of the taxi door and you look at the ocean, it's an angle.
Wow. How long is that ride, Brad?
Oh man,
you remember?
15 minutes.
Yeah. Okay, so not too bad.
Yeah, no, it's a cool. Well, we consider it a tour because it's just beautiful getting up there and going up the hills, and once you get up there, you look and you can see, look down on the city of Puerto Vallarta. It's not amongst other restaurants or anything. It's all by itself, and it's everything else is way below you.
Yeah.
One time when we were leaving there, we saw in front of the taxi, we saw a jaguar.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
it's out in the wild, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. You're in the jungle. It's in fact, we went there years ago before they built a separate place. They used to have a different place up there, right across the road from it, and that place it was back when the railings that they had were just bamboo put together with drywall screws. Now the one it was when they first started, of course.
Yeah, Cal OSHA was there, and they were making sure it was all good.
Yeah, right. I'm not going to go into that. We had a close call on that, but now it's built. They made a real big place up on top. It's real pretty. One time you never know what you're going to see. The sunsets up there. That's one place I've heard that you can see the green flash. I've never seen one.
Uh-huh.
But that's one place that it's because you're up in the angle of the ocean gives you the opportunity to see the green flash. If people know what that is, when the sun finally just dips down past the ocean.
Right, and then mixed with enough mezcal, and then a little bit of Pacifico, and then boom, green light.
Yeah. One day we were up there, and it was sunny when we get there, because you got to get there early. You don't get there at sunset. You got to get up there at 4 PM and then get situated for the sunset and have a couple drinks. And we were sitting there in the sun, and then all of a sudden this cloud comes, and it's not like it turned like a rainstorm would come above you. We were in the cloud, and the cloud come right straight through us, and they had to come running out with ponchos because it got instantly 30 degrees colder.
Wow.
But they did. They took care of us and served us, and that's another tour.
Yeah. And that wasn't their first barbecue. They've done that before, obviously. So that's interesting. All right. So Gary Beck talked about that in one of our first episodes when we were talking about the restaurant guide, and he said that the restaurant with the view in Puerto Vallarta is Las Carmelitas. He said that's the one. That's the one that you can sit up and you can see all those restaurants below that say they have the view, but you're looking at those little things and they're little dots, right?
That's absolutely right. Everything's a little dot down below you. It's beautiful scenery.
All right,
something that you wouldn't predict, or if you can try to imagine it, but you wouldn't know it until you actually see it.
All right. Keep in mind, folks, that if you do go to that restaurant, that they have a cover charge. They'll charge you, but you get it back. Well, they just want to make sure that you eat.
Yeah, they used to charge us $10 at the gate, But actually, when we've gone there, I've never paid it. I just says, we got reservations to eat.
Well, that's because they know you. Don't fight them, you guys. Don't fight them. Go over there and say sure, because they want to make sure that you're not there just to take up their table for a couple hours. They want to make sure you eat and drink. And if you're going to go and you're going to be there on their property, using their place, looking at probably the best view in Puerto Vallarta, then it's going to be worth it. And don't worry about it.
And like you said, Barry, they give you the $10 back off of your bill.
Yeah.
Whatever you eat and drink comes back to you.
Just keep that in mind, you guys. So that's a great tip. That's a great restaurant, you guys. Cool. I got to go there. I've got to go there. Everybody says go, so now I'm going. All right, you were talking earlier about you almost had a little situation up there falling down. So let's talk about doctors. Let's talk about medical situations. You have any experience with doctoras south of the border?
We've had quite a number of experiences over the years, actually. Most of them very good. A couple of them are kind of funnier that Brad's had. One really good one. Years ago, our son was playing foot tennis barefoot at the resort, and he cut his foot. We called the doctor. The doctor actually came to the hotel, which is unheard of up here. Yeah. He came there, looked at him. He said, "You need stitches." He put us all in his car and took us right to his doctor's office and stitched him up. And that was the Amerimed, I believe. And then, Brad had a situation a couple of years ago where he had a bacterial infection of some kind. Right. He was down and out, had to have an IV and pretty serious. That was at Medicist, and they fixed him up very, very well.
Yeah, they've got good medicals down there. I wouldn't be afraid of either one of those places. And the Medicist is more of a Mexican hospital. And we buy insurance,
travel
and regular travel insurance, and it's come in handy because our bill that day was $700. So travel insurance cost me about $60. Oh. So it's
that's a great deal.
It's worth it, right?
Totally.
Yeah. I've had some weird things when we were at Tomates, where we sell the crocodiles. That was back, there was no lights, no electricity or anything. Yeah. And we ate.
Don't tell me you got bit by a crocodile and you had to. No.
No, but we didn't get done with our tour of the hovercraft and the things that they were showing us there until it was almost dark, and they had not a beach restaurant, but it was on the beach, but there's no lights, no anything, kind of a homemade tilapia or tilapia, but it was large, it was kind of like a restaurant, it had a bathroom off to the side of it. So I guess I got to call it an establishment. But I had red snapper in the dark, and I got a bone in my throat, and a big bone, and it was down too far, and I was bleeding. I was bleeding bad. And so we took taxi back to, that was another self tour out there. We took taxi back, and I think, we were staying at the Tropicana, I think that year. And because it was right around the corner from there. I said, I got to see a doctor. So we walked around the corner, and there was a sign that said doctor, right off the road a little bit. Just off Ola's Atlas, I believe it was. And we walked back in there, and it was a holistic doctor. And he says, well, he looked and he says, well, here, try some of this. And he had all sorts of bottles of different things on the wall. And he gave me a shot of this stuff. It tastes like flower juice. I don't know what it was. And he says, now drink the shot. And so I drank the shot. And he says, there, you'll be better now. 400 pesos, please. so
and it worked, right?
And that didn't work. We went back to our room, and I actually got it out with a toothbrush. I stuck it down my throat because I had blood coming out of my mouth. It was just pouring out.
Oh my God!
I should have went to the hospital, but I got it out, and then ate some bananas and bread after that. But I was hoarse, and I couldn't talk real well for several days after that.
Gosh! Oh wow! You are Brad, Superman, man, dude. Really, with a toothbrush down your throat?
Yeah, well, it hurt.
It worked. Okay, it worked. All right, good.
It hurt. I mean, that bone was stuck, right through my esophagus.
All right. Note to everybody: no eating fish in the dark. All right.
No, don't eat fish in the dark.
Please.
We went to a chiropractor one time, and this is back in the early days, and we just told the taxi driver, and I don't think he could speak English very well, and he dropped us off, and he says, "Here's a chiropractor," and it was just one little door, a little tiny place, and there was a guy in there, and my back was out, and lower back. And he says, "Well, lay down." He goes, "Oh," he says, "your pain, it's not in your back, it's in your elbow." I go, "Elbow?" So he's prying on my elbow and just about breaking it. And I thought, well, he must know something, we're in a different country, and you hear these weird things.
Yeah. He's a witch doctor. Yeah, he knows. Yeah.
He knows. And then he says, "Okay, stand up." I stood up. He says, "I'll put these shoes on." And they're a size 13 or 14. I wear a size 8.5. And I put these, and they're red. And and he says, "Now walk." I had to walk about 6-8 feet. He said, "Now turn around, walk back." He says, "Do you feel better?" I'm going, "No, it's fucking hard. It's killing me." "Well, lay back down." So he starts prying on my elbow again. And he did this 3 times. And the 4th time, I says, "No, it's better now." "How much?" He just about broke my arm.
You had to pay him to get out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I paid him and left. I don't remember what we did after that.
Oh, man. All right. Well, you found some interesting doctors, didn't you? You found a witch doctor, and you found a chiropractor who wanted to, he wanted to be Fred Blassie with you there. He wanted to wrestle you.
I don't know.
All right, everybody, wait a minute. I did say Freddie Blassie, did I? Oh, that's really bad. That's dating myself. Okay, just half of you people that are listening have no idea what I'm talking about.
That was in our earlier days because our boy was with us, and he was smaller at the time. And I can remember him laughing at me when I was walking with those red shoes on that were so big. They were like clown shoes, and he was laughing at me.
Those are great memories. Those are great memories. So, does your kid go to Puerto Vallarta now that he's grown, or does he just let the folks do that?
Yeah, it's for us now. Now he went every year with us back then, and now he's up. He's got his own world now.
He's doing his thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, my kids don't want a vacation with me either, so that's okay. You got a favorite bar?
Bars. Well, in the old days, Tami used to love the zoo bar because she liked to get in the cage there.
Tami, all right.
And that was pretty fun for all of us.
Yeah, well, and that was the day. Now they still have the cages, right, over at the zoo.
Yeah. I believe it's still there. We don't go into the zoo anymore. We kind of aged out of that,
Yeah.
But it's still packed when you go by there. So I imagine it's still the same thing. I can't imagine them changing. They were back then.
They're not playing our music there. They're playing our music over at Andalays. They're not playing our music over at the zoo.
Right. And nowadays, some of the favorites might be any of the beach bars are nice. Up on the 3rd floor at Cheeky Monkey is neat view. Cheap beers and margaritas.
Yeah, you can get $1 margarita there or $100 margarita at Cheeky Monkey's.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Casa Isabel is always great. Fox's Cafe Roma for karaoke and pizza.
Neat. Good.
Yeah. And actually, Fox's Cafe Roma, he doesn't have karaoke every night, but the nights he's got it is online live.
Oh yeah,
you could search that out.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And then if you ever get there, or if the people ever get there and sing, they could go onto his site and look at the date that they were there, and it's on his site, and you can watch yourself singing karaoke from a year ago if you want.
That's a cool deal. All right. So there's plenty of karaokeers out there too, so that's cool.
Oh yeah, good and bad.
Oh yeah, I know. Tell me about it. That's the price you pay when you walk into a place like that. You never know what you're going to get, just like Forrest Gump would say.
Yeah. But he's also known for his pizza there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's kind of fun walking down into his place. If it's daylight when you're going there, it's right along the river, and there's usually iguanas there in the trees.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not too hard to find if you ask a Mexican.
Yeah, say, hey, I can't see him. Can you help me out? Oh, yeah, sure. Gringo, let me show you, gringo.
Yes.
That's exactly right.
All right. So, now, how about any other restaurants or dining establishments that you guys like?
Yeah, one of our favorites that we like to always check out on a Sunday buffet, Sunday brunch is at the Lindomar Resort. It's called the La Playita Restaurant. And you walk into Lindomar. It's just south of town on Highway 200. You walk in there and you go down 7 floors in the elevator out to the beach, and just a really nice buffet and beautiful clear water down there. The water actually runs up below you when you're eating, if you're eating out on the balcony there. And when you're done, you can go down on the beach and explore around. That's a really nice experience. I think it's only Sunday buffet. Yeah.
And that's a place to get there, but 10ish in the morning. You start getting there at noon and they're starting to close up.
Okay. Yeah. So get there early enough so that you can spend a couple hours, and you can probably spend a couple hours and eat, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And then the Pancake House, it's pretty famous. A lot of people like the Pancake House for breakfast. I don't think I've never had anything bad there. It's always good.
Yeah.
Very good. I love that place.
There's so many we've been to over the years. It's really hard to pick favorites.
For evening,
Si Senor.
Yeah, we really like Si Senor for evening. It's laid back. It's not a touristy place. It's a Mexican-y, but real pretty. And I think at times that we've been there, they've always had a musician of some sort playing a xylophone or a what's that called, Tammy?
A harp.
A harp.
Yeah. Neat.
Or something of the sort, and it's a different styled place. It's just pretty to go in there. The service is great. The food is excellent.
Yeah. They have 2 locations, you guys. I think you're talking about the one that's up on the hill, right? You're not talking about the one on the beach. Okay.
Right. I'm talking about the one in town, not too far behind the church.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a beautiful location, you guys. It's got a courtyard. It's a big restaurant. It's very nice. Very nice.
Yeah. It's got indoors and outdoors. We've always sat outdoors. It's kind of our thing there. But of course, the same name as restaurant is right underneath the Emperador
the
hotel right next to the beach, and we've eaten there, and that's good. We ate there this winter, and that was good food. We had a good time there. Right. It's just that we really like the ambience of the one up behind the church.
Good, nice. Well, all right. Well, listen, I think we've covered quite a bit here today. I think we before we go too long on this show, maybe we ought to just ask a couple of just maybe one more quick question to you two. What would you say? What would you tell a first timer coming to Puerto Vallarta? What would you suggest that they do?
Well, one thing I'd suggest is don't expect things to happen as fast as you're used to them happening up here. Just don't stress about that, because they're not going to. Mm-hmm. 20 minutes, if they tell you 20 minutes, that's a Mexican 20 minutes, and they'll laugh about that too, that it might be hours or it might be the next day. You just relax and enjoy it. And so many times we've met people in the airport or on the plane after the trip, and as they're listening to us telling all the things we did, they're just wide-eyed saying, we didn't realize that was here, or we just spent every day on the beach. I would just encourage people to listen to shows like this and do a little research, listen to people, and find the things that would interest them there and go out and try some of them. There are so many things to do. Every year we come home with a list of things that we didn't get to do that we have for next time. It's just a shame it's a shame to spend the whole time on the beach.
Right on.
And they're not, just to add to what Tammy's saying, you don't have to pick a tour that's 2 hours away. Like going up to Las Carmelitas it's a 15-minute ride up there. I consider that a tour. Or El Rio up to the barbecue place. There's another one. Mm-hmm. That's a nice little tour. You got to go through a little burg, little town on the way to it. But that's another one where you can grab a taxi or a bus. Again, we do taxis. So you grab a taxi to El Rio, and that's right on the river. They've got some of the best smoked ribs around there.
And it's a party. It's a total party there. Dancing, and it's right by the river, right. And
it's totally different. And when Tami says don't stay on the beach all the time, I think she's kind of talking about the people that lay out and hurry up and lay their towel down on a chair and go out there in the morning and lay there all day long and don't do anything. And that's kind of where all of a sudden those people are. They do that for 4 days in a row, and if they're only there a week, that leaves them only 1 or 2 days to do anything. You're missing out on a lot, and you don't have to spend a lot of money to do it.
Exactly right. Yep, you nailed it. Well, you guys, I'm so glad that I invited you to come on to the show, and I'm sure that the people that are going to be listening to this are going to be glad that they listened and got all this cool information. So everybody, remember, I have all of these great tips in my show notes at Puerto Vallarta TravelShow.com, and check them out there. Brad and Tami, thanks for joining me.
Don't forget to take your pen on the plane with you.
Yes.
To fill out the forms.
All right.
There's never enough pens, and you want to have that filled out before you go through customs.
That's right.
Otherwise, you're going to be standing in line with everybody else writing on the wall to fill out your. Make sure you got a pen.
And if you don't know what he's talking about, go to episode 2 and 3 of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show, where I talk about all the things you need to do and what you need to get ready to land at the airport and what you do once you land. So, all right, you guys, you are so full of great information. I really appreciate it. Maybe we can get together in Puerto Vallarta coming up pretty soon, okay?
Sounds good to me.
Great.
All right. Thanks for joining.
You bet. Adios.
Adios. All right. Well, I have links to all the places that we talked about at the website in the show notes for this episode, show number 17, at PuertoVallartaTravelShow.com. And there's going to be some cool YouTube videos that I got from Brad. And there's even the one with Brad eating crickets. So you're going to need to check that out. And, well, this went way, way long. Thanks for sticking with us. We are totally through for the day. I hope that you enjoyed our talk with Brad and Tami about their experiences in Puerto Vallarta. And next week, stay tuned for more on-the-ground reports from Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, and other surprises and Puerto Vallarta travel tips and ideas. And until then, remember that this is an interactive show where I depend on your questions and your suggestions about all things Puerto Vallarta. If you think of something that I should be talking about, please reach out to me, just like Tami and Brad did, by clicking on that Contact Us tab and sending us your message. Just like that, Brad and Tami are on the show, right? And that could be you too, so don't be shy. Send me an email. And remember, if you're considering booking any type of tour while you're in Puerto Vallarta, you must go to vallartainfo.com, that's JR's website, and reserve your tour through him, right from his website. Remember, folks, that this is a value-for-value proposition. His experience and on-the-ground knowledge of everything Puerto Vallarta in exchange for your making a purchase of a tour that you do anyway. You're just doing it through him as a way of saying thank you. Thanks, JR. Thanks for being our guide. It costs no more than if you were to use someone else, so just do it. And when you do take one of those tours, email me about your experiences. Maybe you can come on board and share with others what you liked or didn't like about it. And again, contact me by clicking on that Contact Us tab and sending off a message. And once again, if you like this podcast, please take the time and subscribe and give me a good review on iTunes if you would. That way we can get the word out to more and more people about the magic of this place, Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. So, thanks to Brad and Tami. Check out all the great places that they talked about at www.puertovallartatravelshow.com, the show notes for episode 17. And thanks to all of you for listening all the way through this episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. This is Barry Kessler signing off with a wish for all of you to slow down, be kind, and live the Vallarta lifestyle. Nos vemos, amigos.
Samba de Puerto Vallarta, noche de amor junto al mar. Solo camino eterno por la playa, me encuentro junto al río cuando todo está en calma. Pronto cae la noche, brillas Puerto Vallarta.